I was just having a conversation the other day with one of my friends about how easily cell phones break these days. Because on like the day after Christmas, I was getting out of my car and I had my phone like sitting on the door of my car, kind of like on the armrest, and it fell and my phone shattered. Now I had an OtterBox on it and everything, but these new age iPhones and stuff, they're like entirely like made of glass. And I just remember how like back in the day, you could just throw your phone anywhere, right? Like sure, you might drop your phone and the battery might pop out and fly across the room. But your phone could go through so much these days. It's like the more expensive these phones get, the easier they are to break. But yeah, dropped my phone, broke it, went and got a new one. Do you all tell the difference? Can you tell the difference? Does the video quality look better? Does the mic sound better? I don't know. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make here is that these modern age cell phones break really easily. Yet somehow, some way, Matthew Livelsberger, however you want to pronounce it, his phone survived the blast inside of his Cybertruck. I step out of my car, my phone drops about 3 or 4 feet to the ground, and it shatters into pieces. Yet Matthew Livelsberger makes himself go boom inside of a Cybertruck, and his cell phone survives. I don't know, it's just another one of those details in this story that makes you wonder. I mean, it was already odd enough that they can't identify Matthew, right? But his ID is perfectly fine for the most part. Passport, it's intact. Cell phone, oh, it's still working. I drop my phone when I'm stepping out of the vehicle. No explosion. On a peaceful day, I step out the vehicle, my phone drops a couple of feet, and it just shatters. Matthew's phone survives the Cybertruck explosion, the fire afterwards. It survives it all, still works, and conveniently enough, the police or the investigators, the FBI are able to get into his phone, and he has these notes in his phone, I guess basically, his, you could call it a manifesto, whatever, him telling people, hey, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it all just seems really convenient. Because do any of you all know who Thomas Matthew Crooks is? A lot of people have probably forgotten. But the guy that tried to take out Trump in Pennsylvania at that rally? They still haven't gotten into his cell phone. At least that's what they want us to believe. They still haven't gotten into his cell phone. We still don't know any of, I guess you could guess the motive, but we don't have any official motive. Remember when that girl that wanted to be a boy went into that school in Nashville and took the lives of a bunch of young children? They won't release that manifesto. Oh boy, you gotta go through loopholes and stuff to try to get tidbits of that manifesto. But within like a few hours, we got all the information we need about Matthew Livelsberger. Cell phone intact, along with a note as to why he did it. Even though they can't recognize his body, cell phone's just fine, ID's just fine, passport is just fine. And that is just all so convenient. And there's been a lot of talk about, this explosion could have been way worse if it was in a different vehicle. The Cybertruck contained most of the explosion. So you know what that means, right, ladies and gentlemen? That means, maybe it's good for the hotel that the Cybertruck contained most of the damage within. But that would be bad for Matthew Livelsberger's cell phone, ID, and passport. It's like not only did that all of these items conveniently survived this blast, but they survived almost like an implosion, the blast inside of the vehicle. Which, yeah, this happening in a Cybertruck, it makes it safer for the people outside the Cybertruck or everything outside the Cybertruck, but for the stuff inside the Cybertruck, it has to be even worse because the explosion is more so contained inside, which means that everything from the cell phone to the ID to the passport should have been exposed to, more flames, more fire. It's just, I don't even want to have to just keep, going into details. I think you guys get it, right? You get it, right? So all I'm saying is this. Things happen. I guess I want to know, what kind of cell phone does this guy got? What kind of cell phone case does he have? What kind of wallet does he have that protects his ID? And where was the passport? All of it just conveniently survives when nothing else does. It's just so awkward. It's so convenient. But I guess crazy things happen. You can't question things too much these days. But anyway, let's go ahead and roll this news clip really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Welcome back. We continue to follow the deadly Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. The man who's believed to have died in that truck grew up in Ohio and was a highly decorated U.S. Army Green Beret. Here's a WOIO reporter, Sarah Goldenberg, with more on his life and his last days.
Matthew Livelsberger was married and had an 8-month-old daughter. His father last spoke to him on Christmas and said everything seemed normal. He said his son loved America. At the time of the truck explosion, New Year's Day on the Las Vegas Strip, 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger was on holiday leave from his station in Germany. He married his second wife in 2022 and became a father last year. They lived in Colorado Springs with his family while he traveled back and forth to Europe. Cindy Helwig is their neighbor.
They just had a baby and we'd say hi to each other. And she was a really friendly person. So
Livelsberger married his first wife here in Ohio, according to Franklin County court records showing he applied for a marriage license in late 2012. A football star at Bucyrus High School, Livelsberger grew up in Crawford County and made headlines in local newspapers for sports and his military service. 19 investigates found Livelsberger served 2 tours in Afghanistan and at one time collected donations for children there. Fardeen Fetwat says he met Livelsberger while working as an interpreter in Afghanistan, and he saved his life.
He was really a smart guy. He will never do this kind of stuff.
Police say Livelsberger died of a gunshot wound to the head before the explosion in front of Trump International Hotel. It all came as a huge shock to his friend.
I feel that I lose a brother. Not I call it.
Now, I don't want anyone to be so easily fooled because we hear this talk all the time. Oh, he was just a normal guy. I never suspected a thing. He was a good guy. He was my friend. He was this. Every time someone does something crazy, we have to hear from all types of people that knew them in the past or knew them currently before they did something crazy. And more often than not, we hear that, oh, I didn't suspect a thing. I never saw this coming and stuff like that, right? We hear it all the time. You all have heard it before. So this isn't anything new, right? But in this situation, I do just feel kind of iffy. All the time we have these crazy situations play out. Someone does something crazy, and you got all these people saying, oh, I never saw a thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I could see it right on his face. He looks like someone that would do something like this, right? Or then you'll find out a little bit more about the person's past, and there are some kind of signs that are there that they would do something crazy, right? In this situation, I can't help but feel kind of iffy about it. And I don't know if that's just, just how my gut instinct, right? Is this my gut instinct? Or have I already been swayed into feeling this way? Because, of course, you have things like the email out there of him allegedly claiming that he was on the run from, the government's trying to take him out and stuff like that. And right now, the internet is split down the middle. A lot of people do not believe that the email is real. Some people believe that they have debunked the email. But also, there's a lot of people who think the email is real. Now, the FBI came out and basically said that they believe the email is real. But a lot of people don't trust the FBI, right? So we're kind of in this odd place right now. I'm sure some of you have already chosen your side. I personally have not. I'm sitting on the fence on this one. And I think more people should be, because we live in this day and age where we all want this information so rapidly. And sometimes we make miscalculations and misjudgments, and we never really get to wait, and just stew and bake with the story and allow details to naturally come out. So I'm in the middle. Part of me believes the email, part of me doesn't, because I do think there could be a lot of different motives behind all of this nonsense. I do find it very odd, though, that the notes that he allegedly left behind in his cell phone that should have been destroyed, but it magically survives. I do find it odd that his notes in his cell phone and the alleged email, they don't directly line up. Like, the email was, mainly focusing on drones and drone activity and past war crimes committed with drones and the drone invasion on the East Coast and all of that. Yet in the notes on his phone, he doesn't mention drones at all. And it feels like in the email, like that's the main focus, right? That's his main goal, is to expose what's going on with the drones and the submarine that's off the coast and how we did these drone strikes back in the day that were illegal. Yet you look in the notes on the phone, who knows if they're real or not, and it's just not really mention of drones, right? So you would think that if he felt so strongly about this to email someone, that it would also be in the notes on his phone, but it's just like it doesn't directly line up. And then, of course, you got the text messages to his ex, where he seems happy-go-lucky to be having a Cybertruck. He mentions nothing about being on the run, mentions nothing about people looking for him. He does mention that he's been working on drones lately, but there's no mention of any crazy stuff. So, it all is very odd, but also, let me end by saying this. And I'm not saying this is the case. I do think there's some suspicious stuff going on here. But there are also a lot of people in this country dealing with mental health issues. Especially a lot of people who are in or used to be in the military. So I don't think that we should shy away from that either. Because maybe a lot of these details simply don't make sense, because we're trying to make sense out of the actions of someone who has completely lost their minds, right? So I know that, it's more interesting to dive into all of the other theories. And trust me, I'm diving into them too. But we always have to remember in the back of our mind that, this guy could have just had some sort of mental break. And as we sit here and try to piece together the pieces, and we're trying to make sense of things, you can't always make sense of the things that crazy people do, right? So I just don't want people to rule that out, because that is obviously a very real possibility that is on the table. But for now, I do think that we should look into this situation from all angles. And regardless if he did this to himself or not, we do know that he was in the military. We do know that he was recently working with drones. So we don't know what type of knowledge this guy had, and maybe it was some very heavy stuff that he couldn't deal with. Or maybe it was some very heavy stuff that our government couldn't deal with getting out, so they knocked him off. Who knows? Who knows? I am open to the possibility stuff. But I want to know from you all, what do you think? How do you all feel about this? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I'll be talking to you all very soon in the next video.